What's up, ladies and gentlemen? So Kindles are pretty popular, iPhone cases are pretty popular, and of course iPhones in general also like to break, and getting new ones is also a pretty popular trend. So with that said, how do we solve all three of those problems with one single case? Well, feast your eyes on what may be the best designed case for the iPhone to ever be made. Special shout out to Oaxis, who is the creator of this case, but also the sponsor of today's video. They created this cool thing called the Ink Case. So what exactly can it do? Well, first of all, it's your typical case, so it protects your iPhone. It's durable on the side, so if you drop your iPhone, you should be set to go. But then you look at the back of it and you see that something's a little off about this case. It has a screen on the back. In fact, it's an e-ink screen. So here's the thing. Basically, you can set whatever you want on the screen. If it's an image, you can put that on there. If it's a book, you can set that up. And of course, it even can give you updates. So this cool little screen right here stays live all the time, because the coolest part about this is that as long as you don't refresh that screen, it will stay like that forever, because it doesn't need battery to stay or keep an image going live on the back. With that said, if you do refresh the screen, you should still get yourself a nice week's worth of battery life on the case. So how do you charge the case? This is where things get a little weird. It has this very obnoxious charger, as I'd like to say, but with that said, it is thin enough to the point where you don't have to have any of the ports blocked off, so you can easily go and charge this and charge your iPhone simultaneously, and you should be set to go. Now, with that said, if you do regularly use this as maybe an ebook reader, which is one of the main purposes of this, then of course your battery should go a nice 2 to 3 days. If you don't use it at all, it will basically last forever, and if you use it for maybe switching pictures up here and there, it should last 5 to 7 days. So battery life isn't a concern on this, because a lot of people will go and complain, oh my gosh, I have to go and charge another thing now. Great. Now with that said, another thing that may worry a bunch of people is of course the back of their case. Will the screen get dirty? Will the case get dirty? And of course, will everything tend to get scratched up? Because, you know, when you have a case on the back of your iPhone, it does tend to get scratched up. Probably not, and here's why. The back of the case is actually anti-scratch, and it's also anti-glare for if you're reading inside of the sun, so you should be perfectly set to go with that. The case itself is also dust-proof, and of course, it's pretty much as durable as it gets. With that said, it is drop tested, so you should be fine in terms of that. So what exactly makes this case worth over $130? Well, it has 4 main unique features that gives it that price. The first one, of course, is the fact that you can put any image you want onto the back of the case. In fact, you can actually put up to 10 images on the back of the case at a given moment, and you can actually flip through all of those to maybe show off your different favorite sports teams, a few great selfies you took. I'm not exactly sure what you want on the back of the case, but it is pretty awesome, because we do tend to go and customize our own cases at maybe the mall, and that usually costs money. Then we get bored of that case, put a different sports team on it, and then we buy that case. But now, of course, we could go and simply Bluetooth push whatever image we want onto the case, and sure, it won't be in color, but let's be real, black and white usually looks cooler most of the time anyway. Now, the second awesome feature of this case is, of course, the ebook reader. The ebook reader itself is, well, e-ink. So that means as long as an image, or of course one page of a book, is being posted on the back of your case, it won't consume any battery. So of course, if you're reading on iBooks, your phone's battery is still going to be used, and if you have a physical book, it is a pain to carry. So simply take all your books, put it onto this, and you can store up to 256 megabytes worth of books. The RAM on this is of course 128 megabytes as well, which gives it just enough juice to power a perfectly good e-ink screen. So with that said, all your books are on this. You don't have to use iBooks anymore, you don't have to carry a Kindle, and you don't need a physical book. This kind of solves like 10 problems in one. Next off, there's 2 other smaller features that could be useful for some people, and other people may or may not look at them. The first one is of course a screen that basically gives you all of your highlights. It could give you notifications after you refresh it. It could push maybe how many steps you took onto this cool little screen. It could tell you the weather, the time. It's basically a cool little screen on the back of the device just to get quick highlights of certain information, just so you don't check your phone as often, which could technically mean that you are saving battery on your phone itself as well. Next off, the last feature is of course a news reader, which allows you to push certain articles to the case itself and read those articles later on. It's fairly simple, and we're going to get to the final aspect of this video, which is of course the setup and tutorial. Now this is the only maybe downside of the case that I found. Setup can be a little tedious, and of course the learning curve can be a little tedious as well, because you know, you're kind of tempted to use this as a touchscreen, but it's not, so you actually have to spend a day or two getting all the controls down and getting all the buttons down. Some buttons you have to hold down, others you have to tap fast, others you have to tap lightly. So with that said, that is maybe my own pet peeve, but that's where this part of the video comes in. I'm going to give you guys a full-on tutorial on how to use this case. Alright, so first of all, you guys actually have to go and turn on your case. Now, the case usually likes to sit around and chill in standby, and that's when you see that little bar at the bottom with the battery life indicator. So, of course, to refresh the case and, of course, power it on, simply hold down the power button for 10 seconds. The power button itself is that long bar way at the bottom of the case. There's 3 other buttons, which is, of course, your left, the middle button, and, of course, the right button. So afterwards, your case should pop on, a quote or whatever image you had last will pop on, and that's about it. Simply go and download the application off the App Store, depending on what device you have, whether it's an iPhone or an iPad. It should work perfectly fine. Turn on Bluetooth on that device, and then of course jump into the application and connect this cool little case. Now with that said, we're going to jump into the notification type of section on this case. So first of all, you simply jump into that particular section on the app. You'll get a preview of what it will look like. It'll ask for a few permissions for maybe like your health data, and then of course from there on out, it should push that data onto the case, and of course the case will give you that data depending on how often you want to refresh. It gives you simple things like weather, and of course the time of day, and of course how many steps or maybe even some random reminders that you have to do on a given day. It's fairly useful, and this may be one of the key reasons that people go and actually get this case. Alright, so next off I'm going to show you guys the gallery portion of this case. It's pretty awesome. So basically, you simply jump into the application, and of course it gives you all the different pictures from your gallery. For example, here's a picture of New York and of course the Statue of Liberty. We're going to go and actually crop that into a portrait size. Then we're going to simply go and add a filter, maybe some title. I'm not going to do any of those things, but those are possible. Save it, and it will be saved to a top portion inside of the application. Now, these aren't on to the case yet. You actually have to tap on each individual image, and then of course transfer it, and then it will show up on the case. You can have up to 10, but be warned, if you get more than 10, it will start to eliminate a random image to compensate for the brand new image that's coming in. Now, of course, crop won't work every single time. Sometimes you'll just crop an image wrong, and then you'll accidentally transfer it, and you'll be like, wow, this looks absolutely hideous. What exactly do I do about this? Well, deleting an image off the case itself is fairly simple as well. You simply hold down the middle button, and it will give you the option to go and delete. The final thing I'm going to show you guys is, of course, ebooks. How exactly do you go about reading on this cool little case right here? So first of all, you actually need to go into either Google Drive, or of course email yourself an ebook that needs to be in either EPUB file or a .text file. They will support PDF files soon, just not yet. Just wait around for that update. And then of course you go and simply send that to Inkcase, and of course it should show up in this cool little section right here. This section is where all your books are located, and afterwards you simply take a book and you transfer it onto your device. It should show up, but if it doesn't, it might be in the background somewhere. So what you do to access all your different books is you simply tap the middle button once, and when you do so, all your different books show up. Simply go to whichever book you're looking for at a given second. Once again, tap the middle button one more time, and that book will be the one you are currently reading. Now, unlike photos, you don't have a limit as to how many different books you can place onto the case. You can place as many as you want up until the point that your memory runs out, which should take a lot since text files really aren't that big. Alright, ladies and gents, so I hope you enjoyed this video. If so, leave a like, and don't forget to subscribe. Go ahead and check out the case. It may be one of the best cases that you ever buy. It does a little bit of everything and a little bit more than anything else I've ever seen out there. With that said, link it below. Go ahead and leave a like on this video as well, and don't forget to subscribe for more videos. With that said, thank you guys for watching. This is going to be me